Will I ruin my neck, my fretboard, and or my frets themselves? Or will I make it fantastically better? I don't know right now, but if you join me, we'll find out. Hello there, and welcome back to my channel. I really appreciate you being here with me today. This is a channel where my motto is keep it real. Before I get in the meat of things with this video, I do want to do a quick recap on where we are and what's going on here, just in case you haven't seen any of the other previous videos. Basically, what I am doing with this project I've embarked upon is modifying or customizing this Squire Affinity Telecaster. Now, this sort of video has been done a million times on YouTube, and I think I've watched them all. The difference between me and all the other millions of videos that have done the same thing, even the same thing with this exact guitar, is that I don't know what I'm doing. I've never done it before. I have no experience doing it. You're going to enjoy my trials and tribulations as I go through my journey. I've done several videos leading up to today's video. They've all been talked. We're finally here to do a real modification. I just would like to say I appreciate all those that have hung in with me to this point. I appreciate it, but now we're finally going to have some fun. So what's in scope for this video in terms of the modifications? In a nutshell, the fretboard and the neck. Let me explain. There's basically going to be 6 areas with the fretboard and the neck that I plan on doing some modifications. So the first thing up is rolling the edges of the fretboard. This is a pretty sharp fretboard, close to a right angle, I'd say. Next, my plan after rolling the edges of the fretboard is to crown the frets. I'm going to dress the fret ends. I plan on polishing the frets, redo the back of the neck. The back of this neck is barely finished or finished at all. I don't know. It's almost raw wood. And like most players, I like a nice satiny finish on the back of my neck for playability reasons. Okay, with that said, here we go. Let's get busy. Wish me luck. I'm sure I'm going to need it, and I hope I don't ruin the guitar. That's all I can say. So with that, let's get cracking. Okay, let's talk in a little bit more detail about exactly what I'm going to do now rolling this fretboard. How am I going to do that? I settled on this way. It just seemed like the easiest and most commonsensical to me. What this is drywall sand blocks. The idea is gently at an angle to sand down the edge of the fretboard. Now, the videos I saw, they tended to start at around 180 grit, and one of these blocks is 180 or around there. So I'll start there. The trick is to be very gentle, very light, and really not put pressure on it. Just glide it along, because obviously it'd be very easy to overdo it, and then I have a ruined fretboard, and that's that. And so much for the rest of these videos. Okay, so 2 things real quick. One thing, I'm going to have to remove the strings, of course. I'm going to want to tape off using painter's tape around the edge of the fretboard where it meets the body here. Here goes nothing. I have in my hands here 180 grit drywall sandpaper. I'm going to start with this. It feels very fine, not very coarse, which I guess is good, but I hope it's coarse enough to start making a difference when I start the sanding. Here we go. This is the maiden voyage of the modifications. I don't know if you can see it. I am seeing some of the, I presume that's the wood remnants coming off onto the sanding block here. I think it's doing pretty good. I just think I need to stay at it a little bit longer. It is shining up the fret ends. I can see that. I'm tempted to go a little bit more coarser grit. I think to a large extent I'm just going to have to kind of go by feel. They're feeling pretty much the same. I think they could both sides use a little bit more. must say this is feeling pretty good. By the way, I don't know if you noticed, but I did change to the more coarser grit 120. It just wasn't making much headway with the 180. Alright, better stop while I'm ahead. By the way, I can tell this has helped the fret sprout a little bit too. Not completely maybe, but it certainly is better. I'm going to move to lighter grit sandpaper. 120, I'm going to go back now to the, 180. Okay, let's keep on going down. My next one is 400 in regular sandpaper. At this point, I'm not really trying to remove much of the wood. It's just sort of get it smoother and smoother and smoother. Okay, let's try the 400 sandpaper. Even with this 400 grit paper, I'm still seeing some wood flakes coming off, but I think that's fine. Okay, I think that's enough for the sandpaper. It feels really good. I'll just go ahead and use that steel wool anyway. I'm not sure it needs it or it'll do anything, but what the heck. So there we have it. I am not displeased with this. A couple of lessons I think I learned is that despite all the dire warnings from other YouTubers doing similar things about being very careful, don't press, use very light grit, I'd use slightly coarser drywall blocks than was recommended. I would consider rolling the fretboard a success. As I think I said next was crowning the frets. As you can see, I did spend some time off camera taping off the fretboard just to be extra careful and extra safe. I must say, however, taping this fretboard was tedious, and I don't do tedious, so I had to muster up some patience. Let's get started. Now, again, just as a refresher, I'm going to be using this Fret Guru Dagger 2.0, and I'm going to be using the 6105 size fret side here of the tool. I am going to show you before I start, however, a close-up of the frets. I'm not sure how well it's going to come through on the camera. What I'll do is after I'm done crowning the frets, I'll go ahead and do another test on how level the frets are, and maybe I'll show that on. So before I get around to actually doing the crowning of the frets themselves, I need to mark all the frets with a Sharpie so I can detect when I have gone far enough with the filing. My understanding through watching other videos is you basically start on your near side and you go across. You don't go back and forth, you just go one direction. You also try to follow along the curvature of the radius of the frets too. And you do this up until the point you get a very, very thin line remaining of that black marker being the crown itself, but it should be very, very thin. Okay, here we go. Now you talk about tedious. I just mentioned I'm not into tedious work. This looks like it's going to be tedious to me already. So it is what it is. I'm going to start down here because if I make any mistakes or as I learn how to do this better and better, I would rather make my mistakes down here on the higher end of the frets where it probably won't make that much difference because I'm not really going to be playing here much if at all. So, okay, here goes. Well, first of all, It wasn't as bad as I thought. Was it tedious? A little bit. Did I do it right? I think so, by and large. The black marker on the frets, I can't say that I got each of them just with a perfect black line in the middle. It just seemed to be a little bit more variable than that. As you know, the crowning is done. I'm moving now to the polishing. I got what is called micro finishing polishing paper by 3M. Goes from everything from 30 microns or 600 grit to 1 micron and 14,000 grit. That might be a little overkill. I think I'll just start with the 30 micron or 600 grit. I'll just cut out little pieces and I'll start the polishing process. So here goes. I'm going to start with what they call Army Green, 600 grit or 30 microns. Just got myself a little piece off, and here we go. Plus it's kind of sticky for some reason. I'm gonna tear off a piece of steel wool. I kind of like the steel wool better. It's not so gummy as these microfiber things. This is going better than I thought with the steel wool. I realized with all the steel wool here, I should have probably protected that bridge pickup as well, but it doesn't look too bad. Okay, just for grins, I think I will go ahead and try the really, really fine microfiber. This is supposedly 1 micron or 14,000 grit. They look pretty good actually, are pretty shiny. I'll give you a close-up here in just a second. Okay, it's time to move on to the final part of all this fretwork, and that is the final polishing. Again, this is something I saw on YouTube, and what it is a product called Miracle All-Purpose Polishing Cloth. It has coconut oil in it, so let's give it a try. Here's what it looks like. I'm going to cut off a piece. This should go pretty fast. I think this is just the final touch on the frets. I like that. You can see that picking up something here. There's some black streaks here that I'm getting from it. So I'm going to keep going on this. I can confirm also that the frets that I use this on, they are definitely smoother than the ones I have not yet used them on. Not sure what this is or why it's so great, but I really, really like it. So one thing I'm concerned about, even though I don't think it's a showstopper, and maybe my eyes are deceiving me, but it seems like using this material to do the final polishing of the frets, to me it looks like they were dulled up a little bit more than they were. Now they feel great, by the way, so smooth, so nice, but kind of that shimmery, shiny, metalish look is now just a little more dull, I think. I don't know what's going on here. And actually, when I run my finger across, I'm still getting black stuff coming off of this. I don't know if that's just the remnants of the felt marker, the black felt marker, or what, but I'm a little dismayed about that. I think what I'll do is try a little steel wool again on one or two of these just to see if that changes. I just don't understand why I would still be picking up some black. See if it does anything different. I'm going to run my finger across it now. Yeah, I'm still picking up black stuff. I don't know why that is or what that is. If anybody knows, please leave them in the comments. I mean, I'm assuming there's nothing wrong with it per se, because it seems like I'm following the right procedures that YouTubers that know what they're doing show. Okay, now that's less after doing a good steel wool run on this one compared to the next one. Yeah, I guess I'm just going to steel wool these all over again. I guess that may undo what this cloth was meant to do, but I can't live with all that blackness. Yeah, the steel wool is definitely removing whatever that black stuff was or is. And I think they're a little shinier again too. I think that's going to have to be it. They definitely are back to being more shiny, and there's very little residue coming off them now on my fingers. So anyway, I don't know what that was all about, but we're going to move on. By the way, I did lie to you inadvertently. I said this is the final fret work today I'm going to do, but I forgot, of course. I'm going to dress up the fret ends, the fret sprout I feel here. And by the way, it's actually a lot better than it was, I think, just from doing that initial beveling or that initial rolling of the fretboard here, but I'm still going to see if I can't improve upon that. So in the meantime, I think there's no reason I can't take off the painter's tape now and see what it looks like and get on with dressing the frets, or the fret ends. I think that was the last thing I was going to do until I get to the back of the neck. Okay, here goes. Here's the unveiling of the fretboard. Ta-da! I'm sure this far away you can't tell the difference anyway, but believe me, they're definitely shinier, smoother. I'm sure they're going to be much more playable. And by the way, I did promise that I would show you that the frets were pretty darn level, so I'm going to do that now just to kind of prove, and hope I don't prove myself wrong here in a second. Here's the handy dandy tool. Hopefully, I don't know where you can, hopefully you see it here better, to check fret leveling. So here goes. I'm just kind of toggling the right word? Toggling it back and forth here between two frets. Actually, it should be between three frets. And just seeing if there's any rocking at all. So if I detect any, I'll let you know. There is a little bit here. I didn't detect that the first time, but it's very, very slight, however, so I'm not going to do anything about it. Okay, I can report that there were maybe two frets, that there was just some slight rocking. I mean, very, very teeny tiny. I don't think at my level of guitar playing it's going to make any difference whatsoever. All right, let's move on to addressing the fret ends, even though they're feeling a lot better from the rolling of the fingerboard. Still going to see if I can make those a little bit better. Okay, it's time to do the actual last part of my fret work, and that is dressing the fret ends. Now again, they look and feel better after I had rolled the fingerboard, but I think there's still a little sharpness to them, a little bit more than I want. I'm going to dress the fret ends with this tool here, again from Fret Guru. And the way this tool works is it has two sharp sides where it actually does the filing on the fret ends, but it has I call a beveled or a rounded side here, so that as you come across, no, I'm not doing a close-up here, but as you come across, if you happen to hit your fretboard, then you're not going to damage your fretboard with that more rounded side. I watched a couple videos on this. I think I got it down. Anyway, I'm going to start at the lower end, move up, and wish me luck. I'll do a close-up of this and time-lapse it, of course. Okay, I'm done dressing the fret ends, and I'm pretty happy with the outcome. They do feel much nicer. However, for me, I would say after I dressed them all up, based on my understanding of how to do it, they were fine, they were good, they were better. But I noticed that as I felt along, and this is very much a feel thing, that's for sure. You can't see it. But as I felt along the edge of the fretboards, it still felt to me like there could be some improvements. So I kind of, in a way, customized each fret in a sense. Filed a little bit here and there, a little extra, top, side, this or that, or whatever I sort of felt like, until it felt very rounded. Lesson learned for me. I'm not sure I should have done that, but I did do that. This is a wrap with everything fretboard-wise and fret-wise. I want to move now to the back of the neck, where I'm going to be refinishing it into more of a satiny kind of feel. But I'm pretty happy with what I've done. I'm sure there are pros out there who would have done a better job than me, but I have to say, for never doing this before and kind of feeling my way through it, literally feeling my way through it, that all in all, it's probably pretty good. And to me, this approximates the Fender Strat I own that already has a rolled finger board. This feels very much like it, very smooth, very rounded, very nice, very comfortable. I think we'll call this a success, and we will move on now to the back of the neck. Mentioned a couple times, the back of the neck is essentially unfinished. I don't think that's exactly true. I think there is a finish on it, but boy, it is very little. Looks like they may have just done a quick one-pass spray job of whatever substance they used for the back of the neck, probably to save money on these inexpensive Squire guitars. I've decided to use Danish oil. Here's Danish oil. This is by a company called Furniture Clinic. Danish oil, a unique blend of natural oils that enhance the natural beauty of the wood. So I don't think there's going to be any staining from this product, so I'm not too worried that I have to do the entire back of the neck, meaning all the way down here where it fits into the guitar body itself, all the way through the headstock. I'm hoping I just have to worry about the back of the neck where your hand glides anyway. Anyway, let's see how this is done. It's not really difficult, frankly. You shake it well, you ensure the surface is dry and clean, or I should say clean and dry. Apply liberally with a cloth and wipe in the direction of the grain. Leave for 3 minutes, then wipe off any excess. Leave it to dry for 6 hours. Since I think there might be just the slightest bit of finish on here anyway, so I'm not sure how well or not this substance, this Danish oil, will actually soak in. I sort of feel like I want to do a little sanding on this first. Not a lot, kind of rough it up, open up the pores a little bit. And so I'm going to get my 400 grit sandpaper out that I used before, very, very fine sandpaper, and I'll see how that goes. Oh, this is going great so far. I can definitely see. So I'm getting down to the raw wood. It's like there's so little lacquer, whatever it is they put on the back of these necks, that I'm barely putting any pressure on. And I've only taken a few passes across the back of the neck, and already the raw wood's just coming right out. So I think I made the right decision. This seems to be a good grit for this. And because it's not really roughing it up, it's still going to be very smooth. So I'm hoping the Danish oil does the final trick on this. Better not go too crazy on this. That feels good. Nice and smooth. I'm hoping this is about enough sanding. Let's take a look. I'm going to say that's good enough. I'll get a damp cloth and I will wipe this down, and then we'll get busy with the Danish oil. Okay, I wiped down the back of the neck. I have a close-up, as you can see. And open up the Danish bottle. I'm going to apply what they say a liberal amount and hold it for 3 minutes. Okay, we're going to wait 3 minutes now. Okay, it's been about 3 minutes. I'll give it a little wipe down. Now, I don't know if it ends up staying looking this way or not once it dries, I guess is the right word, even though it's an oil. That's what I don't get. It says it's an oil, and you think oil is always going to be a filmy kind of substance. Apparently not. I'm going to wait 6 hours, which actually for me will be, well, maybe I'll do another coat tonight. We'll see off camera. I've now applied 2 applications to the back of the fretboard with the Danish oil. and I'm very, very pleased. It's just very smooth, very nice. It does recommend 3. However, it's looking so nice, I think I might just go ahead and do 4. Now, I'm not going to do this on camera. I'm going to do all this off camera. There's no reason to re-show the same thing you've seen already. One little thing I did do, though, last night before I put on the second coat is go ahead and I went ahead and removed the, as you can see here, my tuning machines. I wanted to capture the back of the headstock with the Danish oil as well, and I'm glad I did. I started noticing that there was a difference in look between the back of the neck and the headstock last night, and that just wasn't going to do. And I'm going to be changing the tuning machines next week anyway. Okay, when I'm done with the next couple coats or next couple applications, I'll get back with you and we'll wrap up this video series that has taken way too long. I'm sorry, but there was a lot of work involved with the neck and the fretboard this week. I have this product I bought called Tar Honey for fretboards. It just sounded interesting to me. When I read the sales pitch on it, I bought in. It's by a company called Gurlitz. Never heard of them, but I'm going to give it a try and see how it looks. Okay, it looks beautiful. At this point, I think what I'm going to do is, it needs to soak in a little bit, of course. Now I'll do a close-up for you of the guitar neck back and the fretboard after everything is done. Then I'll wrap up this video with a little quick discussion about what we're going to be doing next week. Thanks. I'm sorry this video is so long this week, but there was a lot of work to be done. I did everything I could to cut down on the length of this video, but I can only do so much. Just to recap of what I did this week real quick, I rolled the edges of the fretboards so they're very rounded now and smooth and comfortable. I crowned the frets, I dressed the fret ends, polished the frets, and finally I refinished the back of the neck with Danish oil. I would say that the neck now probably approximates what would normally be on a Fender, not a Squire, but a Fender Player Plus series of Teles and of Strats. I promise you I'd be upfront about the cost of these modifications. So without further ado, what I have spent all the work I did on this video. The fret crowning tool cost me $65. The polishing cloth cost me $10. The polishing micro finishing sandpaper cost me $14. The Danish oil cost me $20. Fretboard oil cost me $13. The neck slotted straight edge cost me $27. The fret ends dressing file cost me $31. The brushes I bought cost me $10. The sanding blocks I bought cost me $13. The sandpaper itself cost me $5. And finally, the fret beveling file cost me $40. So all in all, this adds up to $248, so nearly $250 to get this guitar neck and fretboard in great shape. I suppose I could have bought a brand new Tele neck if I wanted for this price, but anyway, I still had fun. Okay, in terms of what's in store for next week's video, I have the following things in mind. I'm going to replace the tuning machines. I have locking tuners I'll put in. I'm going to replace the plastic nut with a tusk nut, saddles with higher end saddles, and I think I'll do a tone test at the end of all this work next week because some of these changes I do next week may affect the tone. If they do affect the tone or they do improve the tone, my theory is that they would be so subtle that my ears may not detect it. Will yours? Maybe so. Anyway, thank you so much for enduring this long video with me. Again, this is a channel that's motto is keep it real, and I certainly kept it real this week. All the trials and tribulations and warts and all. But thank you, and I'll see you next week.